So we're going to do a comparison test with two Shure MV7 microphones, with one using the SM7B pop filter right over here, and we're going to use the stock foam filter right over here. So just have to remember that the silver microphones is going to be stock, and the black microphone is going to be the SM7B filter. Every proper A/B test has to keep everything pretty much equal, so I made sure that both microphones are at the same distance. When you're typically using these microphones, you want to have about a fist length distance from your microphone, about right here or so. But for this particular test, because of my setup and I need a little bit more room to work with, I'm going to go ahead and have about 2 fists. So about 2 fists here and about 2 fists there. For both microphones, use Audacity as our source of recording. I have 2 laptops going on right now. I have a Surface Pro 2 recording on the SM7B filter, and I have a Surface laptop for the stock and silver Shure MV7. I also want to do an overview of the settings that are available on the MV7 Shure MOTIV app. This is going to be really important for those who saw my last review and didn't get a chance to see the different settings that are available. We're going to let you listen to the differences for all of the settings that are available on the app. Now, throughout this video, I'm going to be calling out which microphone we're using and what you're listening to. It's a mouthful, but bear with me, we'll figure this out as we go along. So first things first, let's go ahead and go over the settings that are available on the Shure MOTIV app using the stock Shure MV7 without the SM7B filter. So if you look over here, I am set up on manual mode, but let's go ahead and try how these audio settings sound on auto level. Now, the great thing about the Shure MV7 is all of these settings are digital and it's on the fly. So one of the great things that Shure advertises with this microphone is that the microphone does the work for you, and that's one of the best features about this particular microphone. Is for me, it minimizes the amount of post-editing work that I do with the microphone, and also this is all live, which is really nice. So you don't have to fiddle with any settings, you don't have to fiddle with a mixer. You basically just select it and you're just going. Now, if you're interested in hearing more about how I feel about the Shure MV7, check back on my last week's review for more information. So let's go ahead and go over the app itself. So starting from the top, we have the options menu where you can see more about your particular microphone and then see if there's any firmware packages to download for this microphone. Next, we have the manage presets. So if you have any presets of particular settings that you have saved for this microphone, you can find them here. And under preferences, we have some basic options. Keep on top. For this purpose of demonstration, I'm keeping the win on top. We can always have the app launch whenever the computer turns on, or I should say operating system turns on. And if we want, we can help Shure with some analytics and also the language. Now from here, if you have multiple microphones plugged in, you'll find them here. Otherwise, you can also just lock your settings here. So this is a great option if you don't want anything to happen or you're afraid you're gonna bump into something. Definitely use this feature. But for now, we're gonna leave this unlocked. Now, auto level is a great feature where you can actually just set your microphone, plug and play, and you're off to go. If you have any presets, you'll find them here. You can also save and manage your presets on this spot right here. And of course, you have the mute. So if there's any situation where you need to mute your microphone. So monitor and mix. You want to use this slider to adjust how much of each of the sound source you can hear. So you have the microphone audio and then you have the playback, which is whatever sound is coming out of your computer. Ideally, you just want to leave it right in the middle. But if you feel like you need to hear more of any audio that's coming through your computer, definitely do the slider to the right, or you want to hear more microphone, it's up to you. It's really up to you what you want to do with this. So let's go ahead and talk about the microphone position. Near means when the microphone is anywhere from between 0 to 6 inches away from you. And far is when the microphone is anywhere from 6 to 18 inches. So near is great if you're planning to do some, if you want to get that deep, rich podcast sound. And far for me has been ideal if I'm planning to put my microphone away similar to a boom mic. Now below that, there's three tones. You have your dark, natural, and bright. Natural basically tries to get your audio and voice to its most natural form. Dark tone is a great sound when it comes to doing voiceovers, and a bright just kind of just brings everything up. Now that we went over the auto level options available on this app, let's go ahead and see how it sounds like if we change it from the natural to dark tone and the bright tone. So right now we have this going on the natural tone. And for any proper A/B test, we're going to have something to read for a good proper comparison. I'm taking this excerpt from a piece of my writing that I did on attachment theory. I've done a lot of research and studying on attachment theory and object relations theory, basically theories that are related to relationships. For the sake of this test, we're going to go ahead and read off a brief paragraph and use this as a benchmark. I will be reading this particular passage 3 times, one in natural, next one in dark, and this next one in bright, so that way you can see the difference. Starting with this. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. Although his work dates back to the 40s and 50s, attachment theory only became more mainstream within the last 10 years, where therapists that work with children would be most aware of the theory. That's how it sounds like with a natural tone on auto level. So let's try this with dark. I'm going to go ahead and select dark. We're going to read the same passage again. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. Although his work dates back to the 40s and 50s, attachment theory only became more mainstream within the last 10 years, where therapists that work with children would be most aware of the theory. So that was with the dark autotone. So let's go and try this now with the last one, which is the bright. We're going to go ahead and here select the bright and read this again. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. Although his work dates back to the 40s and 50s, attachment theory only became more mainstream within the last 10 years, where therapists that work with children would be most aware of the theory. And that's the bright autotone. So now that we went over the auto level options on the MOTIV app, let's go and check out the manual options and see how the microphone sounds there. Clicking on the manual, we have a couple of different options. Again, we can find the preset options available here again. And of course, the mic mute is still here. Now, the mic gain is simply how loud you're adding to your voice. For this A/B test, we're doing simply 30 decibels, and I have this the same on the black microphone, the other MV7. We're gonna leave this the same. Monitor mix, of course, is still here, and then again, the monitor mix is simply we're mixing what you hear through your headphones if you're plugging in your headphones to the microphone. We're simply seeing how much of the microphone or your voice versus how much of the audio from the computer that you're hearing. So best that you leave right in the middle, and you can always adjust as you go along. If you look down here, we have an equalizer. I find that this is probably one of the coolest features of the Shure Plus MOTIV app, which is we can go ahead and do different settings depending on how we want our voice to sound. As you can see right here, we have it just flat. There's no settings, nothing has been edited and such. High pass is great if you have a refrigerator or you have a fan or something that's going on in the background, like a low humming that you want to cut out. This is great, especially if you're not in a soundproof studio and you're trying to do some podcasting or you're trying doing some audio recordings at home. This is great where it'll just cut that all out. Presence boost is a great way to emphasize the clarity and fullness of your voice. What it does is it brings the midtones of your voice up and makes it more clear. And of course, the last option is high pass and presence boost, where you're actually getting the same effect from the high pass, which is cutting out background noise, and also the presence together in one package. Now limiter, turning it on and off simply prevents distortion from volume peaks in your recording. So let's just say, for example, you're doing your recording, you're basically just going to go way up and over your sound. This just simply keeps it from hitting that point. It depends on what you're doing. I personally like to keep it on, but for the sake of this test, we'll just leave it off right now. Compressor down here, you have an option to either choose no compression, light compression, medium compression, or high compression. And what you're doing with this is it simply improves the way how dynamic your audio sounds. Basically what you're doing when you're using a compressor is you're boosting the quiet signals and you're reducing the loud signals, which results in a very dense, louder sound. I personally, when I use this, I actually keep it at medium, but of course, you want to play around with this to see what really suits your interest. So now that we went over the manual settings, let's go ahead and play with the settings and see how our audio sounds with the microphone. Now we're back over here with the Shure MV7 without the pop filter. Let's go and focus on the equalizer here. Right now you're listening to a flat equalizer on this microphone. Let's go and click on the high pass, and this is how the microphone sounds with a high pass setting. So let's just go and read a quick sentence from the passage I had before. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. That's with the high pass. Let's go and try this again, but this time with the presence boost. Right now we have it set at presence boost. Earlier just now we had it as high pass, so currently it's high pass, and this is presence boost. Let's go ahead and read the same passage, just the first sentence. Let's see how this sounds. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. Although his work dates back to the 40s and 50s, attachment theory only became more mainstream within the last 10 years, where therapists that work with children would be most aware of the theory. That's with presence boost. Let's go ahead and try this again with high pass and presence boost and see how that sounds. We're going to click on this, high pass and presence boost, read the same passage. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. Whew, that's a lot of information that we just covered, which basically means right now we gotta take a break. And the best way to take a break is a dad joke moment. So you Marvel fans might enjoy this particular joke. What is Iron Man underneath his suit? Stark naked. So we covered everything there is available on the Shure MOTIV app, and we did that with the stock Shure MV7. For those who are interested, we're going to try this out with the Shure SM7B pop filter and put it on to this particular microphone. I'm going to see how much of a difference it is. Now I just want to say that if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel and like this video. What we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the next test. So we're going to take this filter, I'm going to put it right on here. Pull up the pop filter. Again, this is typically used for the SM7B, and we're going to replace the foam filter on the other microphone, and we're going to place it right here. Now it should just go straight on like so. Shouldn't be too difficult to put on. I don't know about you, but do you hear a difference? Well, let's go and check it out. We're gonna go ahead and go back to the Shure MOTIV app and see how this sounds like with the Shure SM7B pop filter. Okay, so we're back over here with the auto level settings. Let's go and try this again. Now we're still in the near setting, so we'll just leave it as it is. We're gonna go and do the natural. So this is the natural tone. Again, this is with the SM7B filter. We're going to go and read our same passage. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. Now let's go ahead and try it with the dark toned SM7B filter. Back over here, dark tone. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. That's with the dark tone. Let's try it one more time, but this time with the bright setting. Back here on bright. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. Okay, now that I'm back after my water break, let's go ahead and try this again, but with the manual settings. So we're back here, let's click on manual. Right now we're on the flat equalizer. Let's read a quick passage. Again, this is with the SM7B filter. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. So that's with the flat. Let's go and try this again with high pass. Clicking on high pass. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. So that's with presence boost. So last, we're going to go ahead and do this again with high pass and presence boost. So we're back here in the app. Let's go ahead and click on the last option, high pass and presence boost. Reading one last time. John Bowlby is said to be the father of attachment theory, where he pioneered the understanding that children develop an attachment with their parents that affects the way they attach to others as adults. So, do you hear a difference? If you did, leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. And that concludes our A/B test. So, what we did was simply we tried the MV7 with both the stock foam filter and the pop filter that comes with the SM7B. I have found, based upon research, that getting the SM7B filter and putting it on your MV7 makes the sound much better. And I personally believe that's the case. For me, when I've done my recordings, I definitely see a big difference when it comes to having this filter on my MV7. And that concludes our video for today. Now, if you enjoyed this video, definitely click on the subscribe button, like the video, leave a comment on how you feel about it, or if there's any questions you have. I'm definitely happy to help. For those who saw my previous review on the MV7, thanks for coming back and taking a look at this video. I hope this video helps you decide whether or not the MV7 is for you. Join me next week when I do an unboxing review of the LumeCube RGB LED light panel alongside a third-party Amazon RGB LED panel. We're going to take a look to see how they compare to one another. Thanks again for joining. I appreciate your time. Definitely come back next week. Definitely subscribe, and I'll see you soon.